Well, I'm going to put up this video today. It's Monday, just about the last of the month. I think we have one more day left this month, and it goes into October then. I thought I'd explain a little bit about, there's been a lot of speculation of whatever people, what they think I've said or didn't say, words that are twisted, things like that. It's kind of unfortunate people will twist your words to make them fit their scenario, but it happens. As far as Michelle and John, when I said that I was not going to be a part of it anymore, and that still holds true, I said I wouldn't stop praying for him because I want nothing but the best for him. I really want him to be able to live a normal life, and the reasoning that I stood up for him in the first place is I felt that it was being overbearing the way that they were being picked on, and I still feel that way. Whether you like them or not, they deserve to be able to live their life, and I guess there's not much more I can say about that itself. Now, the reason that I stopped trying to help out in any way, in other words, try to get people to donate to the cause or get involved to the extent beyond what we had already done, simply was she had went on there and said that because of the help that we had done, she was worse off for it. She also said she never asked for help. And I agreed. She never asked me in any way, personal or otherwise, for help. And I said, okay, I get on the internet here and said, okay, I'll pray for you. I'm not sorry that I did help you out, but I understand where you want to stand on your own 2 feet, and that's fine. I'm not going to say anything that's derogatory to her on a personal basis because I wouldn't have a right to tell her how to govern herself. Her and I may not have the same way of getting from one point to another. But she's an adult. She can make those decisions. And I'm an adult, and I heard her. I heard what Michelle said. And I'm complying with it. I've stepped back, and she can run things the way she wants. Now, I think she probably misunderstands what the funding was for. The funding was there at the end that is still sitting there, is to finish out or to go as far as they can with finishing out the barnuminium. Now, a lot of people think in a mistakenly way that you can just move into one of those. Once you've started a building, you cannot take occupancy in that building until you've completed it and gotten an occupancy permit in your hands. Okay. So any of you that are telling her to go ahead and fix a room up for her daughter, please don't. You don't need to put them in that kind of a position. Michelle is the one that got the permit in the first place. She got what's called an owner's general contractor's permit. In other words, she's the general on that job. And she's responsible, when it comes down to it, by law, okay, to pick the contractors that are going to work there. Now, in Florida, you have to have licensed contractors. You can't just go out and get anybody in there to work on your place. And you have to follow all the laws and guidelines and everything else. It's not easy. I mean, I spent a lot of years, and I've actually worked on projects in Florida. I worked in the nuclear industry for quite a few years. So I've made quite a few trips to Florida, matter of fact. And I liked it down there. At one time, I thought about retiring down there. I looked at places in the villages and also in Ocala. And I really liked both places. And I had several outfits looking for homes for me. And come close quite a few times. Matter of fact, I even looked at buying into a co-op down there and buying a double wide to be a snowbird down there quite a few years ago when I bought this place here. So there's been a lot of things that were in the making that just didn't bear fruit for one thing or problem or another, or just one thing or another decision or whatever. We ended up staying right here. We did a lot of work to this place from the day we bought it, and we really didn't want to give it up to move somewhere else and take a chance. After all, when you get to a certain age, it's not like you can pick up and leave and go back on a regular basis. It don't work too well. It takes longer to come up with those decisions, and it takes a part of you each time you do it. You have certain heartaches about leaving a place and your friends and the things you're used to. Let's put it that way. But I did like Florida as far as, especially if it's going to be a vacation spot. Now let's get back to Michelle. It's hard enough when you're raising a small child, but when you have a lot of interference like what's going on with Michelle, and I believe in her heart that she loves that little girl, and I believe that little girl loves her and John. So that part, I have really no qualms about it at this point. And I know a lot of people that bothers them in their lifestyle, but their lifestyle is better than the one that I had to grow up in, and it didn't bother me at all because we didn't have running water in our house, and we didn't have a refrigerator. We had an ice box, a real ice box. You put ice in it to keep things chilled, not really very cold, just chilled. And we drew our water from a pump, an outside pump. We didn't have a well pump in the house. So, and what we had for a sink is called a dry sink, where you put a bucket underneath it. The water goes down into that bucket, and you take the bucket out. And if it's gray water, you use it for maybe the garden or the yard or whatever. But we had an outside toilet for most of our toiletries. So it was a different lifestyle, but one that I didn't mind. I was young enough that who cares? And I did see how other people had done it in other places. As it was, we weren't the only house in that block or in that area of town that lived in that manner. That's just the way it was. And we had dirt roads on two sides of us. And when I say dirt, I mean dirt. Mud roads when it was raining. Things changed while I was there. We ended up with indoor plumbing by the time I was just about through junior high. So, and it was a big step up, having water in the house, if you can imagine. We didn't have TV when I was young. The first TV, we didn't watch it that much, believe it or not. We had other interests and other things that we were doing, so TV wasn't a big deal. And it wasn't a big deal when I went in the service either. It's just was available. There was certain things that we watched, but it wasn't a habit. Not like today. Now, going back to Michelle. She has proven that she has taken very good care of that child. Even the doctor, the medical facilities, they've all backed her in the things that she's done. She's a good caretaker. And you guys are second-guessing her on home care and also on home education. She seems to be articulate with her speech, so I don't know why you would worry too much. She seems to know a lot of things, probably more than a lot of children, maybe less than others, I don't know. I personally have not talked to their daughter, but others that have, I trust in what they say. One of the good times I had was the Harley Jolly Christmas. And quite frankly, when I looked at it, it warmed my heart to see this little girl was having such a good time, and the fact that she was sharing too. She had goodness in her heart, and I think that's important. Matter of fact, everybody that was there, it seemed like they had goodness in their heart. I didn't see any fake things going on. Kind of a take a deep breath and enjoy yourself times there. And a lot of the neighbors were able to come over, and friends that they'd made, new and old friends. So I don't think it was a wasted effort. And I realize that Michelle seems to think that things weren't that great, but I'm not in her shoes. And because of that, I completely got completely out of it and stated so on one of my videos. And I've had some people that thought I was a jerk because I didn't follow through with building or working towards this barnuminium. But I never really did do anything with that in the first place. I did not donate to that, okay? I have enough things to take care of my own. And I worked all my life for retirement. And if I spend my retirement for other things, I may not be able to live a middle-class life that I live today. And it's not being selfish. I gave what I could when I could. And I've done that most of my life. I've given when I could or when I can. That didn't sacrifice my family for it. My family has always come first. So I'm not what you call stingy either. But I'm practical. And I notice a lot of you out there are as well. Now, it seems like the poorest give the most. And when I say they give the most, I'm not talking about the most dollars, but they give the most dollars they have available. Percentage-wise, they do. And it seems to me the poorer a person is, the bigger heart they have, and the more they can feel for a person that's in need. And indeed, that was the case in a lot of people that gave towards these things that they did for Michelle. And they really felt that they were doing the right thing. And I would ask that Michelle would thank them in a different manner rather than put it out there that she is worse off for the things that were done for her. In my mind, I don't think she's worse off. I think the fence helped them out. And it sounds like she really didn't want the fence. And I think that the Christmas for her daughter was a great thing. People, it made their hearts feel better. And I don't think they deserved that speech that Michelle gave about how it disrupted their life and she didn't ask them for that help. I know that when it first came up, the donation stopped. And that should have been enough for her, but she's repeated it over and over. And I think she's wrong for doing that. I think she's wrong for biting the hand that fed her. But that's only my opinion. What she feels, I have no idea. My heart, I feel it must be different than hers. Over the years, anybody that helped me, I was thankful the rest of my life for those people because of the things they did for me or tried to do. Just trying means a lot. And the people that were praying for me in the last few months and that are still praying for me, I really appreciate them all. The people who listen to my rhetoric on here, on my channel, it's great. You know, it's just a hobby for me, but I really appreciate the things that you're doing for me. You know, my subs, you know, they're subscribers, not subjects. I keep telling people out there that they're subscribers. They believe in something, and they come in sometimes for advice or just to listen to me speak a little bit or whatever. And some of them listen to my songs even, believe it or not. But I do enjoy channels out there, whether it's, Two Leaves in the Pod, Get Swamped, Super Dave. I've enjoyed TC's, Tom Collins' channel out there. I think he's a pretty good-hearted young man, and I say young man, he's an adult, and I know that, but he's a young man compared to me. And he has his way of thinking about things, and even though we may not always be on the same page, it doesn't mean that I don't appreciate the way he is doing his things. Same way with Guapo. Guapo has his way of doing things. They're our future, if you will. Now, I forget channels from time to time that I go watch. There's Tori out there. I don't always let myself be known, but I try to stop in and give her a thumbs up once in a while, and I go on my way. I support her channel because she's been an integral part of Two Leaves in the Pod, and I used to enjoy her rhetoric on there. I always called her the tiger, and she is. She's a tiger. And she's come through some tough times. She's had a knee operation, and prior to that, you suffer a lot before you finally get that thing done. My wife went through those things and had a knee replacement. So I know what Tori went through before and after. The good thing was that when the knee was finally replaced, within a month, my wife was back to normal, what would have been with a normal knee, and almost zero pain by then. So it was a success, and I hope Tori's is too. Bearded Fisherman out there, I value his words and the things that he says and the prayers he gave. He's been through a rough life and recovered, and still out there doing his thing. And I'm glad for him. The good Lord has blessed him with being able to continue with life. I know there's challenges I probably haven't mentioned out there. It seems when you get on here and you're just talking without a script, it makes it a little harder to cover all the bases. I know there's a lot of people out there that like to have their little, we just call them index cards. Look at notes and stuff. It makes your speech a little better. Makes people think you're highly educated or something. Those days for index cards, I think, are way behind us now. Now you can have a split screen on here, and you can put what you want to talk over here, just like a monitor on the other side, and have your be able to see what you look like when you're putting this video up. Anyway, I'm going to let it go. I'm starting to just rumble on out there, but I don't want you to think that I've completely left Michelle and John out there on their own. I still pray for them. And like I say, I only complied with what she asked for. She did not want, it was very plain, she did not want any interference or help in the future. And I have complied with that 100%. She's doing her own or her best of what she can, and I wish her nothing but the best. Now, I can't imagine her getting upset with anybody that did back off when she was the one that asked for it. She wanted to run her own show, and she is. So good luck. And I really wish the best for her, that things work out, that she can do all those things. I'm sorry that we weren't able to do the things that she asked us to do. Some of us don't have the deep pockets. That's just a fact of life. just because there was some help came our way doesn't mean it can be continuous or forever. It can't. We all have families, and we have things that we need to do for our own families. And believe it or not, 9 times out of 10, or even more than that, they come way before somebody else is. Blood is thicker than water, and I'd like to think everybody feels the same way. So with that, I'm going to let you go. Shout out to all of you that have been helping me out in all those prayers. You know, I do enjoy going to watch Two Leaves in a Pod, and I know Lisa gets going out there. She can get pretty hot-tempered, but that's Lisa. She still has that good heart, and she tries to help everybody she can. So give her a little, give her a little loving and best wishes, and she'll tame right down. And of course, Robbie is a great guy, and I'm glad that he's out there doing his best too. You know, he sacrifices an awful lot doing God's work, and I'm talking about having that sanctuary out there. He is truly a man's man, and his son, and all those that work with him. So shout out to all of you out there. Well, oh yeah, don't forget Mike Volpe, and Richard Luthman. Boy, they're out there just kicking butt, aren't they? I salute you guys. I know you're doing the hardest that you can and getting things put together. A lot of people don't agree with you, but most of them are followers or Kool-Aid drinkers, aren't they? With that, I'm going to let you go. The rhetoric on some of those other channels, it's almost sickening. Be careful about watching them with a full stomach. We'll see you later. I'll try to put up another one when something comes up.